Hey, welcome back. Hope you guys are ready for a bourbon review because I'm ready to review a bourbon. So we're going to get to it right after this. All right, we have Garrison Brothers here. I've pulled the little waxy strip off the top, but I haven't uncorked it yet. What do I know about this? Well, from what I've read, Garrison Brothers is the oldest licensed distillery for bourbon in Texas. So for whatever that's worth, I know I have the TX bourbon. I really like TX bourbon a lot. But Garrison Brothers has been around. I've seen several awards that have been given to this bourbon, or not this particular one, but different variations. They have a flagship, I think it's called a Cowboy Small Batch or something like that. But this is the Garrison Brothers Small Batch Texas Straight Bourbon Whiskey. It's 94 proof, so 47% alcohol by volume. Certified Texas whiskey. Chink. Okay. It's got the nice star on it, inlay, Garrison Brothers, the GB on there. Born and bred in high Texas. Good bourbon can change the world. Sure, I guess it can. It could. It does have the food grade #1 white corn from farms in South Texas. So it's Texas sourced corn, Texas distilled. The bottle number on this is 49062, release date 2020, aged 3 years in oak. So I can tell you that I was reading a little about their aging because I was kind of curious, because I know Smoke Wagon, they procure bourbon and it's aged not in the dry, arid desert heat around Las Vegas, Nevada. But I was reading about that, and they said, on their site, at least it's their hype, that they do age it in Texas, and the Texas heat consistently in the summers around 100 degrees plus, right? And inside of a warehouse, even hotter. And I can attest to that. I lived in Texas 17 years. But what they're saying is this allows the bourbon to get into the wood more, and all that. So we'll take their word on it, word for it. It's got a wax over the top, comes down to about here on the bottle. Nice star stamped into the top, but let's uncork. Oh, that's tight. Okay. Oh, that was loud. Now it's a synthetic cork, but again, we don't hold that against anyone. All right, let's pour some. All right, little drip. Okay. On that drop that was running down the side. Now, I paid a pretty penny for this bourbon. Man, that's very applesauce. Just that drop. We won't dissect that, but let me get some air in it and check the legs on it here shortly. But let it air out and open up just a little bit. Pretty bottle. A lot of times I'm leery of overly dressed packaging. I know I ran into the Luca, where was it? Yeah, the Luca Mariano. Beautiful bottle, not good juice. Well, it's not bad. It's just there's nothing special about it. I paid too much for it. Now this, I think you're supposed to be able to get this for under $100, but I paid just over $100 for this bottle. Let me spin it again. Good trails. It's a nice dark amber for 3 years. That's some good thick trails on this thing. Let me get the nose on it. All right, the first thing that hit me in the nose was fig, like a roasted flavor, or aroma, I mean. A thicker, darker aroma to this. There is some underlying apple notes in there, but that darker fruit note is coming through stronger. Some spices to it. I don't think this has, from what I could tell on the mash bill, I don't think this has any rye in it. I think it's mostly corn, wheat, and malted barley. That's what what I found. I am getting some good wood out of that for 3 years. So I don't doubt what they were talking about the climate affecting and impacting those barrels, having the wood, the bourbon go into the barrel more through that fluctuation in temperature. I know, and the corn will have a lot to do with where it's raised. It's the same thing as wine, regions where grapes are grown and they're renowned for their whatever it is, they're renowned for in different regions of, whether it's silkiness or depth of note or whatever. I'm expecting some good deep notes on this on the palate. So let me go ahead and get the tongue wet here. Okay. I'm not going to give a lot of notes on that first sip. I can tell you this is not TX bourbon. Yeah, it is a different variety altogether from TX bourbon. That's more, a lot younger, but smooth. This has some tannins coming out in it, just a little bit. So let me try that again. Yeah, I'm not sure. They hyped it as the bourbon going into the wood and all of that through the pores of the wood brings out the sweetness of the sap. I think it brings out tannins of the wood. I think you're going from oaky to bitter on that. I don't think the aging in those barrels in that Texas climate is necessarily a good thing for everybody. I'm not saying this is a bad bourbon, but I am picking up some of the notes in here that I would consider to be, hints of those notes that I would consider to be a subpar bourbon, or someone who's tried to pressure age the mash or the shine, to speed the aging process up, and it pulls out some of those bitters of the wood. It's not bad. I've had worse, but let me go a little deeper. Okay, as far as tongue coating, it is really well. I am getting, still those tannins are coming through, but I am getting some wood. The finish is long. So that's pleasurable. Possibly a darker cigar maybe with this, but really I'm having a problem getting past those bitters in this bourbon. It's just not, I know we don't like to use the word smooth, but for lay terms, if you were talking about, is this bourbon smoother? No, absolutely not. This is a rougher bourbon. The opposite of smooth. But there are, again, I think it could probably benefit from a little rye in it, actually, because it sends your mind, the palate sends your mind to, oh, I'm going to get some rye spice, and then you just don't. But then you're left with that bitter tongue coat. I just can't get past it. I'm wanting to dig out more notes. I'm not saying that this tastes bad, okay? But it is distracting, put it that way. those bitter tannins coming out are distracting me from really enjoying and getting into the bourbon and really picking out deeper notes. But no, it's not a bad bourbon. I mean, if you bought a bottle of it, hooray! It certainly juxtaposes against other bourbons. Actually, let me go ahead. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Hang on. Let me pull the TX out. And, you know, this is a really good bourbon right here for what it is. You know, up against some Eagle Rares or stuff like that. Let me go ahead and pour just a little bit of this. This is Firestone Robertson. A lot lighter in color, you can see. A lot lighter in color. Let me swirl this, get some air in it. Now, proof-wise, this is 45.90. This is 47.94. I mean, they're close. They're close. A lot sweeter on the nose over here. Yep, a lot darker on the nose over here. Light, airy, sweet, dark, heavy aromas coming off of it. So let me try it. Yeah, definitely I would give this to a bourbon beginner, okay? Let's just step back for a second and talk about that piece of it. This one, I would give to someone after they have built up a palate for something like Elijah Craig, not the barrel proof, but the regular Elijah Craig. And then, you know, the Elijah Craig small batch. This is more in line with the Smoke Wagon and the barrel proof Elijah Craig and a few others up there. Four Roses is one that's an intermediate, I consider an intermediate bourbon. This is an easy sipper, comparable to Michter's and Eagle Rare. And I'm not saying it's the same mash bill or all that, but I think you can pick some notes out of here more than some base bourbons. This is super easy. A lot of caramel coming through, apple, pear, stuff like that. This one kind of tastes like really good stuff, and they roasted it down to a point, and if they had pulled it out, it would have been perfect, but they burned it. You know, it's got too much burnt in it. And like I said, it's missing. This heavy of a bourbon needs rye. It just needs rye. It's missing so many notes. Again, I'm not saying it's a bad bourbon. And some people are going to pick this, like choose this and love it. But for me, after this, it did tame some of that out because I still have this on my tongue. And I'm able to pick out more of that molassesy, the fig, the you know, the more earthy tones to it. It is far more complex than this. Yeah. But this tames that bitter. Back to back. This one, I may try it again in the future and put a couple of drops of water in it and see what happens. I won't put bourbon over ice, but I will take a dropper and put a couple of drops of water in. But I'm not gonna do that today. I know I'm running a little long here. Not saying this is a bad bourbon. This is a specialized, more challenging bourbon for the bourbon enthusiast. If you are a bourbon enthusiast and you want something a little different, get yourself a bottle of this. If you're a bourbon beginner, I would stay away from this for a little while. I would build up through other things. So with that, I enjoy the sip. Again, those tannins are throwing me off just a little bit. I think that, you know, I'm very sensitive to that, and I think it's the Texas heat that's doing it. So with that, guys, as always, please like and subscribe, hit the bell down there for notifications, and I promise I will keep bringing you these videos.